Hey there guys, welcome to the next tutorial here on the channel. We're going to make duct tape coasters in this tutorial, so it's going to be pretty cool. We're starting off this tutorial in Disney's Hollywood Studios, which is another one of my favorite parks. And we'll give you a little trivia about the sorcerer's hat, which is right behind me, which is pretty much the icon for Hollywood Studios. Well, first of all, it is a hat size. If you were able to wear it, it would be a hat size of 605 7/8, which is a pretty big hat. And if Mickey were to wear it, he would have to be 350 feet high. So that'd be a pretty high Mickey to have to wear this hat behind me. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the little trivia about the sorcerer's hat, and let's get started here on this tutorial on duct tape coasters. Okay guys, so let's get started here on making duct tape coasters. Now I'm actually going to show you how to make two kinds of coasters in this video. One is going to be a pretty simple coaster with just, a few strips on there with a little bit of an edge around it. And we're also going to make woven ones as well, which are going to be a little more complicated, but I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So let's start off with the simple ones first. We're going to cut out 4 strips of tape that are 3 inches long each. So you've got 4 strips of tape, 3 inches long. You're going to take your first 2. And basically what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to stick the first one down right here. You want to make it so that they're 3 inches high. So you're going to apply your second strip here so that, say 1, 2, 3, so it ends up right about there. So I'm overlapping just about there. So you're going to be making a perfect square here, 3 inches high, 3 inches wide. So now we have 2 sticky sides showing over here. Going to take another 3-inch strip, stick it on top just like that, and then one more, I'll stick it right here on the bottom, cover up the rest of the sticky side right there. So that's our first step. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the lip that's going to fold up around the sides, and also pretty much just keep the water from, if your glass starts to, the condensation starts to melt on your glass, it will be caught in this little cup kind of bowl shaped thing that we're making. So to do that, just take your X-Acto knife or a pair of scissors. You're going to come in about 1/4 of an inch or so on the edges, and you're just going to make a small little cut all the way around. So you got 1 on each side. It doesn't have to be perfect, you just want it to start about 1/4 of an inch or so in and then cut all the way out. That's our next step. The next thing we'll want to do is fold each one of these in separately, and you'll notice they'll be able to flex because they do have that tiny little cut on all 4 sides. So to connect your first 2, you're just going to fold them both up like this, kind of like you're forming an edge there. And you can take a fairly long strip of tape here. It doesn't have to be too long, but you want to make sure that it does fold over just like this. And then you can just connect those 2, and you want it to form kind of like an edge right there, so you can tell it does pop up just a little bit. So take 3 more strips, and you're just going to do that for all the other sides here. So you got 1 here, 1 here, and 1 over here. So after you've taped up the other 3 sides, we now have our completed coaster. So it's pretty simple to make for this one. You just got all 4 of those corners turned up, and now you can set your glass on there. And you can make these any size that you want. You don't have to make it 3 inches by 3 inches. You can do a 4 by 4 or 5 by 5 depending on the size of your glass. So now let's work on making a woven one. That'll be a little more complicated. So let's get started on that. Okay, so to make a woven coaster, you're actually going to need a total of 8 strips, 8 3-inch strips, if you're making the 3-inch strips that I showed you how to make, a 3-inch coaster, 3 inch by 3 inches. You're going to use 4 per sheet here, so I have 4 checker here, all stuck together, so that it's a perfect square, 3 inches, as well as 4 paint splatter here, and then we're going to be weaving these together. So you want to measure in on the side of your square here to where the 1-inch mark is, and then where the 2-inch mark is, so that you can easily cut them straight across. So you have 1-inch strip there, and I have these pre-marked here so I know where to cut them. And just use your ruler to figure out where you need to cut. So that's the first 3, and then we have 1 inch there, and then 1 more inch right here. So now we'll start weaving these together. So just take those strips and arrange them in the pattern that you want, just not going under, over on each individual one. If you're doing it with different colors, you can make it look really cool, so you can kind of mess around with that a little bit. Take 1 more 3-inch strip, and I cut it into 4 strips here so you have a whole bunch to work with. And now all we're simply going to do is connect the sides here. So you want to be real careful when you do use this. It will be double-sided, by the way, which is kind of cool. So we fold that one over. Let's do the next side here, and you're just going to repeat this step all the way around your coaster, and then it'll be all stuck together and won't go anywhere. So I got that side done. So take 2 more of those strips and just attach them on here and over here. Alrighty, so there you have your woven coaster, and it is double-sided, like I said, which is pretty cool. You can flip it all around depending on, if you have different colors on different sides. I probably don't need to make the little water traps on the side, like the little walls, because with the woven one, the water will probably work its way in between, and it'll kind of just sit on this little platform here. So that concludes this tutorial on how to make duct tape coasters, both the regular ones here, just the simple ones with a little bit of the walls for the water, as well as woven ones. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and there will be more coming in the future, so hopefully you liked it. Okay guys, so hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial on the channel on how to make duct tape coasters. Now I will wrap up this video with one of the most popular icons at Hollywood Studios, which is the Tower of Terror behind me here, or the Hollywood Hotel. A little fact about it, it is actually 199 feet high, which is kind of interesting because if you're like me, you think, why 199? Well, aviation regulations state that any structure over 200 feet must have a red beacon light on it, and the Imagineers didn't want to include that because they thought it would take away from the 1939 theme of it. So that's why it is 199 feet high, 1 foot short of that 200-foot regulation. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time on the channel.